Okay, welcome everybody to we'll call the meeting, the FinCom meeting to order, Monday, March 9th at 7 p.m. We could all stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good, thank you. Thank everybody for coming. And what we're going to try to do tonight with our agenda, we're going to discuss the new any changes in the FY27 town budget, and we're also going to vote on warrant articles. And then after that's all over, we'll do some housekeeping with some minutes of meetings and so forth. So, what I'd like to do is to start that off. But what I really am going to ask is that we get some direct and to the point information. I don't want to get down too much in any detail, okay? But just where are we, what happened, and what's our approach? And then we will hopefully get a vote. We'll be able to vote on the town budget, which is actually one of the warrant articles, and then we can go to the rest of the articles too. So, with that being said, let's go to either Glenn or Karen.
Sure, I'll just briefly give an introduction here. Pat, I guess if we could, I'd like to go right into Article 5, and that's the town budget.
Yes.
And I want to apologize to the committee. I guess I didn't realize that you didn't meet since December 2nd. There have been numerous changes, like Beth, you had mentioned at the meeting. I thought it was only the IT budget. So I do want to make sure that we go over all those. Karen's going to go over them in detail. We're going to talk about all the changes that we've had. The budget number really hasn't changed. It's been balanced for a while now, but many changes within that as we balanced it. So, if we took something, if we put something into one department, we took something from another department. So there are a lot of those kinds of changes, but the overall number really hasn't changed. So with that, I will turn it over to Karen, and we can go over the FY27 budget.
Okay, good.
Thank you for you. And just to add to what Glenn was saying, Beth, I made a statement I indicated that I made changes at the last meeting, and I just wanted to clarify that that statement was not correct. And I was not aware that you didn't have updated budget binders, and so I just wanted to let you know I apologize for that. And our department is committed to providing transparency, working with departments. One of our biggest goals was to get information to the finance committee so you had time to review it and understand it, so we didn't go through what we did last year. So today I have provided a copy, and I'd like to walk through the changes that were made between the time that the binders were distributed in December and some of the changes that happened and why they happened between December and March of this year. There's a net change around $2,000, but I want to walk through. There's only a few sections of the budget this applies to, but I'd like to go over it. I provided a copy to everybody, and so the first section, you're going to see your budget appropriation summary. That will replace what's in section 3 of your binder.
Section 3.
Section 3 of your binder. And there's 2 pages. There's 2 pages to this, and I'll walk you through the changes that were made. I'll walk you through the change. One change, and the third piece of paper that you have shows budget FY27 projected budget summary updates. You'll see where it says the category, either general government, public safety, cultural recreation, benefits, the department, and the TA recommendations as of December 16th, and the recommendations, this is including the changes we made to the Finance Committee last Tuesday. So the first thing that I wanted to go over that is in general government, in the Finance Committee budget, we increased the Finance Committee budget by $15,000. That was in the expense line, increasing the grants from $10,000 to $25,000.
Can I just ask a question for you? So is that still above the line before the split, or is that in the operating?
It's already in the operating budget. Nothing has changed between the split. So we still have presenting the balanced budget, and nothing has changed from that. What happened was, between December and March, we had some staff that left, so our IT director that left, we had an increase in his salary was higher than the previous IT budget. We also had the Conservation Commission that left, and so there was a change in their budget, and we also had the town planner that in FY '27, there were some changes to that salary line. So we were trying to, still stay within the balanced budget that the town administrator provided, but make the adjustments, meeting with the departments after we provided the town administrator's recommendations. There were some changes just to add money back in, and I'll kind of go through those, but they're very minor changes. So we have, the next budget was legal. We increased the legal from the TA's recommendation by $29,967. IT, we have wages that were increased by $4,713.80. This was due to just a salary increase of the new IT director that came. We decreased expenses in the IT budget, and a lot of that came from conversations between the new IT director and the previous IT director in terms of there was some placeholders for emergencies, but it wasn't specifically designated to a particular item in the IT budget. And so we were able to reduce that budget by $34,560. Public safety, there were some minor variances when we went through the building inspection. There was just some rounding issues, and so that budget decreased by $5.50. EMS is covered through the ambulance receipts. There were more hours of the staff that were needed that weren't originally projected. So Mike Ryan increased his salaries by $30,000, and then $20,000 in the expense line is covering a capital borrowing from previous years, and we wanted to make sure that that was in the budget. That's going to be in the budget for the next 5 years to cover the $100,000 in order to pay off money that was borrowed in previous years. But we wanted to just make note of that within the budget, and I believe it's also listed in the warrant. The next one was library. Realized there was a minor change in the salary line for rounding. So there was an increase of $4.73. And then we had the call firefighters. That is the LoSAC, their incentives that are paid to the firefighters. When we were doing the estimates and looking at FY '26 actuals, with more retirees and incentives, that budget, it's paid out once a year, and so we wanted to make sure there was enough money funded in FY '27, so we increased that by $5,000. Municipal insurance, this was just a balancing, increased it by a little less than $2,000. And unemployment, I wanted to go over unemployment. We originally had a budget of $70,000. What happened with unemployment is that I noticed as we were looking at areas where we could have savings, that our unemployment was budgeted in 2 different areas. In the past, we had an unemployment reserve fund, and that, based off of Mass General Law 40, Section 5E, is where it should reside. We also had an appropriation in the fixed liabilities for unemployment, and that shouldn't be in the operating budget. We funded in the operating budget last year, but we also did a transfer into the reserve fund. And Mass General Law allows you, and the money for unemployment should be in the reserve fund. So we had $150,000 in the fund from a transfer from last year. On average, for unemployment, we're paying around $40,000 to $50,000 a year. So I felt that that was not something we needed to fund for FY '27, because we have plenty of money within that fund, and it's not a fixed liability. So I updated the fixed liabilities, which we'll go over in a minute, in the split, taking that $70,000. So as I take it out of the budget, that also falls under one of our fixed liabilities. All of our fixed liabilities are a section within each budget, so snow and ice is a fixed liability, but it falls under DPW. Debt service is a fixed liability, but it falls under debt service. So we had that decrease. So those are the only changes that we made to the budget. And the budget that you have in front of you represents the budget that was recommended by the town administrator in the amount of $54,042,873. Does anybody have any questions in any of the changes that I just discussed? And I'll go to the next part if people don't have any questions.
No, I don't have any of those.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So the next section of budget is we're looking at articles. So I wanted to walk through the articles. And you should have received a draft warrant.
So if we're gonna be going through articles, that means we're gonna be voting on them, correct?
I have a question, Ryan.
Go ahead.
Since we're going over the budgets, you wanted to start with Article 5 because that's the budget that they have.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, do we want to start with Article 5, because that is the biggest one, you know, and again, there is another change coming now. This was what we had talked about right up to Thursday night last week. On Friday, we did get new information about the Old Colony assessment.
Right?
So do we want to talk about that now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be
Let's
appropriate.
just get the whole budget out of the way.
Okay, so that covers the town-wide budget, and then, you know, we have the school. When we met in December, we didn't include this, although we had the split, we didn't include the school number because it hadn't been told to the school committee. And so in your budget binders as of December, that number was blank. And so with the updated budget, you see now that the school budget is $26,237,431, and that's strictly based off of the split, and I'll go through that split as well. So there's one issue, and this came up on Friday. If you go to the last page of the documents that I provided, which were the updates, you're gonna see a page that says, the other pages that I provided are your backup pages that go behind the actual departments.
I'm just looking at what we had last year for the school, sorry.
ahead, Becky.
To what we have this year, so they went up 834,000, does that sound right? Year over year?
The Old Colony?
No, just the school budget.
I can tell you one minute. Did you get your packet? Do you have the last page of your packet? Should have, yes, it has a revenue projection. Do you have that, Glenn?
I do, but it looks like the old revenue projection.
Oh, yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
It is?
Yes, that's correct. I haven't checked, yes, that's the way I'm looking at.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct. That's what I'm looking at.
Okay.
I just don't have a copy of it. Mind if I share this for a minute? I can look on. So, within the budget revenue split, this is how
Well, I
we.
guess before that, do we know the answers to Beth's question?
I think it's,
It did, I mean, you can see it right there.
Yeah,
we're up
this is last year.
800,000 bucks.
Yeah.
834,000. Yeah.
okay.
On
Last year, the school received
Oh, on this sheet.
25,403,000.
Okay.
So it was an increase of 834,000.
Yeah, it's right there. Okay.
So I wanted to, so there was one area where we have different projections for actual. So for the Old Colony Regional School, if you look under fixed liabilities, we have the Old Colony Regional School, FY '27 projection is 1,299,306. On Friday, I received an email, thank you, Beth, for sending that. We haven't received an email from the Old Colony Regional School. I reached out to a lady that was on the previous email to find out if she, Joyce. Julian. Was it
Jolene.
Jolene,
Does it
and
cost
asked her if there were any updates to make, if they could update their distribution list to both myself and Glenn, so we get these projections. When I did this projection, I received a prior updated assessment. I didn't realize at the time when I was looking at Carver's that it also included additional local contributions and transportation, and that's where the difference between my number of the 1,299,306. This is not a projection that we can project like health insurance or some of these other costs. This is a number that comes strictly from the Old Colony. So right now, we have a shortfall of around $500,000 and a little change. It's actually around 400, around,
470.
yeah, it's around 400 and change.
Yeah.
As a shortfall in our budget. What that means is there's two options. Because this is a fixed liability and this shortfall of around $400,000 and change, that would be an increase. We would have to decrease the town's budget by $158,000, and the school budget would have to decrease by around $324,000. That would be one option that we'd have to go back and, to provide a balanced budget. The second option, as I was looking at this and, throughout this whole, I would say, winter, between December and realizing what we were dealing with the health insurance deficit, I was looking at every budget and available funds that we had. So I had a meeting with our assessor to look at revenue figures. And the only revenue figure that I would be able to increase would be our new growth. So in the fall, I provide a projected new growth number in terms of what the new growth in the town is. The town hired a data collector last year, John Costello, and so he's been, for the last year, going around and evaluating and inspecting all of the different properties, things that were exempt, and if people sold the homes and they're no longer exempt, then that would be an increase in value. Any kind of construction that would have occurred. I know Olivia can talk on this more, but the actual numbers are significantly higher than what I originally projected. So I was going to recommend to the select board and to the finance committee to increase my projected new growth number from 1.1 to 1.5, which would then cover the Old Colony Regional.
Now, the difference is how much? 400 and what?
Around 434,000. I should grab that number. I don't want to give, I would like to give you.
I think I have it right here.
1,703,000.
474,166.
474, okay.
If my math's right, we had a
Yeah,
1.2 million in here, 1,229,306, and
Yeah.
they're saying it's actually 1,703,472.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, so it's 474. So if we're going to increase the new growth by 400,000.
We'd have to increase it. When I
Right.
get the exact number, I believe it's $500,000 to 1.6 million.
Right.
That would cover the shortfall for Old Colony.
Okay.
I know we don't want to go into detail, but what would be the new growth that we found? Is it solar?
So the only, no, it's a combination. It's not solar, it's not power, it's just a combination of houses that had never been inspected. and with John, and Olivia can talk about this more. She has more in terms of the number of houses, if there were houses that were converted to condos, if we had exempt, if we had property that was exempt and then they sold it, and now that is no longer exempt, so then that value would have gone up. She can
So
speak
you're just
on.
cleaning up the road, is basically what you're doing.
Yeah, and we had a consultant prior to John being hired, and they weren't doing that many inspections, and so while Joe Roach was here as an assessor, he recommended hiring a part-time data collector, because he felt that our new growth numbers should have been a lot higher, but there was a lot of properties that weren't being inspected. So the number is significantly higher. What happens with new growth is that I provide an estimate with the, collaboration of the town assessor in the fall for our next year's budget. It's then certified by the Department of Revenue in next fall. And so I am requesting an increase in my projected number to 1.6 only because of the new properties that are significantly higher. I would not request the entire amount of what the new growth numbers could be, because they still need to be certified by the Department of Revenue next year. But I feel that an increase of 500,000 to our new growth is responsible in terms of the amount of new growth we have that's been determined by actual numbers. So my
So-
projections are, a lot lower than the actual new growth number.
Okay, so that's a comfortable number now that we're looking at. And I think that whatever we need to do something to make sure that this never happens again. That, how far does some of this go back?
Oh, the evaluations?
Yeah.
Well, again, we now have the employee in-house, so hopefully this won't happen again, Pat, we won't get this far behind.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
that's,
How much more is there to do?
So that it ends, so the evaluations go usually through the end of the late spring. And then we have abatements that are coming in right now. The abatements are evaluated, and then the number for new growth is usually sent to Department of Revenue early fall, late summer. We usually have those numbers, and we send, because there's still more value. There's a time period that you're allowed to do the evaluations, so we still have another quarter of the fiscal year to do evaluations. So right now, we're 3 quarters into the year. We have actuals that exceed the estimates. And then I've also, included possible abatements that could be issued as well. And I feel comfortable with the 1.6.
Okay.
Do you know what the new growth was for fiscal year '25 and where we are for the first 3 quarters or 2+ quarters for this year?
Well, we had estimated at 1.1, so we would have to go back a year. Last year, the new growth was $752,772.
But that says projected. Is that the
Oh,
actual?
I'm sorry, this is, right, you're correct. This was updated in November after, this was a projection, but then it
Okay.
became an actual after Department of Revenue certified our new growth number. And then we put projections in for the next year.
Okay, so would this, I just want to make sure I understand, would the
Yes.
752 be 5 months of actuals and 7 months of forecast?
That's
combined?
correct. And so it's a total actuals for the year, but I gave a projection at the time of 750,000.
Okay.
So as we go into the FY '28 budget, then you have another projected number, and then this 1.1, and then we'll show the actual. It's going to be higher than the 1.1, but instead of 1.1, you'll see the FY '28 budget projected, and then you'll see November 25th, 2026, with the actual new growth number that was certified by the Department of Revenue. And that's the only area that I felt that we could increase. I didn't feel comfortable increasing local receipts. There's a lot of things happening in the economy, and I didn't want to take any chances with the unknowns, whereas this is known based off of projections and actuals.
So we basically had two choices. We could, knowing what we know with the old colony budget, then we could either reduce town and school budgets by an equivalent number, or knowing what we know about the new growth projection, and safely and conservatively cover that number, knowing that it's really going to be a number far in excess of that.
That's
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Any questions?
Could you
Beth?
reduce the school budget to take care of business now, and then if those funds, when they do become available, can it get moved around back into their budget?
You'd have to have a special town meeting, so once you reduce the budget, that's what's allocated, so that's all they're allowed to spend.
Okay. Again, I'm new at this.
That's okay,
Yeah,
it's okay,
It's okay.
No, I get it.
Good question, yes.
And what
It is a
happens
good
with,
question.
what happens with the tax levy, the additional money is gonna go, is whatever the tax levy comes in at, for new growth, that's gonna affect the FY '28 budget. It doesn't fund anything in the past. What funds
Future.
is free cash.
Okay.
So if we were to
All right.
close our budgets, and we have our free cash numbers in October and November, and we realize that we needed additional funding for FY '27, we could then do a special town meeting to appropriate additional funds from free cash.
Okay.
So, the only wiggle room we have in terms of adding additional funding for FY '27, if something comes up, is
I
through
understand.
free cash or, stabilization fund, because those are our only available funds.
Okay, so then, are there any other questions about this issue? Beth?
Well, I just feel like it's a huge jump to, I mean, if it's right, it's right, but, we projected 26 at 750,000, or, right? Then we're saying actuals, we thought were gonna be 752 for this year, and now we're jumping up 800,000. Does that make sense?
Can you tell me what you're referring
Yeah.
to, and I can...
So on the spreadsheet, it says,
Yes.
FY '26 projected 752,000. Then the '27 projected was 1.1 million, but now we're gonna say it's gonna be 1.6 million?
That's correct. Yes, and I should have updated the spreadsheet, because this was old projected FY '26. When we go into the FY '27 budget, these are actual, and I'll update this so it will say actually certified by the Department of Revenue.
Okay.
Okay, and then we're going with 1.6, but it's really going to be significantly more than that, or we're anticipating that it's going to be significantly more than that.
That's correct, for the new growth.
Okay, so it's safe to assume that at least the 500,000 will be there.
Yes. I wouldn't go more than that, but
Okay,
I absolutely will feel comfortable with
Okay.
increasing it to 1.6.
I think that's a better option than we're going back and reducing budgets.
And I can have
I
Olivia
agree.
come in and speak on it more too, because she has more detailed information in terms of the number of homes that were evaluated last year, the number of homes that were evaluated this year. We also had, what's his last name, Blanchard?
Yes.
We also had Ellen Blanchard, who's also on the Board of Assessors. She also evaluated the new growth numbers as well, to confirm that these funds were actual values that came in.
And the current financial policies, I brought those with me. Do any of those say anything about how we're gonna allocate new growth?
No, so the financial policies only revert back to our pilot agreement revenue. In our pilot agreement revenue, I had an estimate of 1.6. The estimate, my estimates that I have for revenue are very conservative. And we know that with the pilot revenue, it came in higher than that, but we had some companies that went bankrupt, so I wanted to make sure that when we provided our estimate for the pilot money, that we weren't overestimating money that's gonna come in, because we want to have a revenue deficit at the end of the year. So with this change, it does not change the amount that the school gets. or the amount that the town gets. And if you want, I mean, I could always, if you wanted a break, I can update this sheet. I didn't want to update, if I provide another sheet, I would have to
Yeah.
provide it with the new numbers and another column showing the
And so
change.
what you're saying is on the handout that you gave us, the first 2 pages are as they should be.
That's correct. This is only changing your fixed liabilities, which is Appendix C.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Beth?
No, it just, it's a big jump, so just
It
want
is.
to make sure we're okay with it, it's real.
Okay.
And these are still estimates, so usually, when Old Colony provides us with the town's assessment, it's a formal letter that comes to the town showing all the different communities. I brought a copy of the draft assessment, so if people wanted to look at that to see where
Yeah.
I had the estimate at the 1.2 based on a prior document that I had, but I did not include the local contributions and transportation equipment. That should have been part of the estimate. I didn't know. I didn't know at the time, and so, you know, as we move forward with next year, it's something that, you know, I'm more familiar with, and so when I'm looking at projections, I'm absolutely looking at the transportation equipment and local contributions in additions that could increase that projection for Carver.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on the FY27 budget?
Okay, one more.
Go ahead.
So I just want to make sure the math's going to work. So when you add the 474,000 over to Appendix C, you know, you're going to adjust this fixed liabilities, but then doesn't that kind of re-spread differently?
Oh, no, because I've calculated the amount of money we need in new growth to cover that. If you'd like, I can
Okay.
run to my desk real quickly.
No,
But-
You
I just
sure?
want to make sure that we're not
Yeah,
going
but you
to,
can see
let
it,
me-
Beth.
Yeah, and then
You
you'll be
wanna
able to
see
see
it?
it. And
I
I
think
have
you
a
should.
column where you can see it, and you can add up the numbers, and you can see how that changes.
It's up to you.
I just want to make sure,
Oh, yeah.
you know, when you
Yeah.
change something above the line, is it still going to be the same split afterwards?
Oh, yeah, I made sure, so, you know, $500,000 covers the shortfall of 400.
Okay, but there's probably still another 24,000 in there?
Well, yeah, I'd have to go and do the actual
Okay.
number, but it's around it's an additional around $500,000. If
Okay.
you want to take a short break, it will only take a
It's up
minute
to
to
you
grab
guys.
it.
No,
I'm okay.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm
You
okay
sure?
with it, I just want to make sure,
Okay.
because I think the school's
right.
meeting right now.
They
Right.
are,
Yeah.
And they're aware.
Oh, they are, right, okay.
Yep, they are
We had a
aware.
conversation,
Okay.
so we met on Friday discussing, and we met again today to discuss this as well.
Okay.
So we want to take a vote on Article 5. Then, which reads,
Article 5.
so in Article 5, which is in the packages,
So how did you do that when we already voted?
we took a vote to not accept that budget. It's changed. It's changed significantly. So now we look at Article 5, knowing what we know, and now,
So-
go ahead, Glenn.
well, I was just gonna say, in this warrant, Article 5 is not updated, right?
Yeah. it's what-
Townwide fixed liabilities, Appendix C, is the old number.
Yeah.
So we'd have to come back to you, Pat, to update on this one. But I think you just simply re-vote,
Let's revote.
right? You just re-vote on the article.
I would need to get that sheet for you. But
Numbers.
I didn't change the numbers because I wanted to have a conversation about it prior to updating the warrant and changing the numbers. Because it just came up on Friday.
Pat, do you want to take a vote on the new growth number of 1.6? I mean, that's the major change. You take a vote on the,
We've got to take a vote. I mean, right now, it shows that we've got a 0-5 vote on Article 5. That's something that we got to change.
yes.
So we've got to, what is the best way to do that?
again, I think you could take a vote on the new growth, the new growth. We'd have to come back and change Article 5. We don't have that number right now, do we, Karen? Do we
I
have?
can grab it, I can go and get it.
Well,
We can grab it right
Take a
now.
5-minute break and get the
Yeah.
new numbers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good,
Okay.
I want to make sure we do this right.
yeah.
Okay, so we're going to take a 5-minute break.
Through you, Chair, so I made the adjustment. If you look under the fixed liabilities, the Old Colony Regional VOTEC increased from $1,229,306 to the new estimated number provided to the town on 3/4/26 of $1,703,472. That's an increase of $474,166. And that is also the increase, if you look at our revenue sources, I've increased our new growth by $474,166, which is the same increase for the Old Colony, which it still keeps the town and the school budget within the same number.
Okay, but the increase to the Old Colony budget year to year, 26 to 27, is only $206,000.
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay, so that was just to cover the error. Okay, good. Anybody got any other questions, comments? Beth?
No, just we need to make sure we update the new total general fund budget, right?
Correct.
From the 54.
Yeah, so the Appendix C would go to 14,977,792.
972?
Yes.
977.
14 million what? I'm
972.
sorry.
Yeah.
$14,977,972.
This
Is it
is
14,977,972?
966.
This one right here.
Yeah, total fixed
Right
liability.
here.
I was looking at here, okay.
But the next one we need is the total general fund budget was 54,042. I'm just
Yes,
going to
let me-
add the
I-
400 in there.
You do it 517039? Checking.
Probably right on the money.
A lot of audience participation here.
Do you like the new Apple
Let me,
updates with the calculator?
So I have,
Shoot, 54.
oh, wait a minute, something happened.
Okay, just bear with me for a minute here.
Yeah.
When I look at the draft warrant, the fixed liability numbers 14,503,806.
But it will be.
Right.
And if you add the 474,160 to it, comes up to 14,977,966.
Each one is 474166. Is what you have to add to it.
474,166.
6.
Yeah.
Oh,
That plus 13%.
Yeah.
So I have, which Dan should have the same number, $54,517,039.
Yes.
54,500,000 what?
$517,039.
Yep.
54,517,039.
yep.
Gotcha.
Okay. So, any other further comments, questions on the budget? Okay, so we would be looking for
Motion to
a
release.
motion. First of all, we have to have a motion to reconsider our previous vote.
I'll make a motion to reconsider the vote on Article 5.
Okay, got a motion and
Second.
second. Any discussion? Jack?
No discussion.
Okay, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? No, okay. So it's 5-0 to reconsider the vote. Now, we have to phrase this one properly. How should this one be phrased on Article 5? Do we want to include all the numbers?
I would.
Yeah.
I definitely would, because the total summary includes, and we did it this way in the warrant, so it would be easier for, town meeting, the residents to understand that the town budget is the 13,301,636. We have, your
Okay.
fixed liabilities, and then you have the school coming to your
Okay.
total budget.
There's a
So-
motion with each individual piece with the number to it and then the total.
Yeah. So then we would be looking for a motion on the budget Article 5 that would be comprised of a total town budget of $13,301,636. Total fixed liabilities, Appendix C, budget of $14,977,972. A total school budget of $26,237,431, for a total general fund budget of $54,517,039.
Correct.
Okay, can we have somebody go with that? Okay,
You can say so moved.
Jack?
Yeah.
So moved. Jack?
Yeah.
Jack, okay, Jack, and...
Second.
Second by Jim. Any further discussion? Beth?
I wanted to just discuss it before we make the vote. So we'll make the vote tonight, but can you just lay out for all of us so we clearly understand where is the health insurance component in here?
Yes. So the health insurance component is part of your fixed liabilities. And so on the health insurance, when I determine the there's two parts of the health insurance. We have we have two articles. So we have the health insurance that we're covering for the deficit. And then we have the health insurance that is our estimated for FY27. The health insurance estimate for FY27 is part of your fixed liabilities. It's part of, and I had an estimate at $6,555,000. What I did was, as I was looking at our health insurance actuals in terms of claims that we pay every month and looking at prior years, I took 15% of $4,790,000. It was a little higher than what we spent last year, and then I used that estimate. Now, the health insurance deficit, that's part of a separate article. So we have $4 million as part of the gateway deficit that we have to cover. And that's an article.
That's going to be a different article.
That's in Article 8.
Okay,
That's an 8,
Yeah.
okay.
All right, so we stick with 5.
for now.
Yeah.
So it's in, I just want to make sure that
No,
it's all the
no.
pieces are in here.
Yes.
So if it's in Article 8, we're taking outside of here from free cash, it must be part of it,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
$1,000,004. Then we're
Yes.
gonna take our general stabilization fund from $1,023,000,
Yes.
That's correct.
and then we're gonna appropriate the sum of $1,005,000.
Yes.
And that is, so the $1,510,295 is a raise and appropriate, which is the pilot revenue. Because we put the pilot revenue aside, from that pilot revenue, we're using all those funds to cover the shortfall, plus we used 150 to go into OPEB.
But is that what our financial policies say to do with the pilot revenue? The
Our
current ones that are
financial-
voted on?
No.
They do not. So we'll have to get a waiver from our financial policies, from the select board.
The only thing for our financial policies that we are doing is transferring money into OPEB of 150,000, and that's approved by the financial policies. Covering the shortfall for the health insurance crisis is not part of the financial policies.
So we wouldn't be putting also aside the 1/3 for the new middle high school?
No,
But the 1/3 is not in the financial policies anymore. That was an old financial policy.
I know, that's why I'm wondering if it's updated, because this is the most current one on the website.
11/17?
It says 11/15 of '22.
Yes. Or 22?
Of
No, it
22.
Should be getting updated from that.
Okay.
And
That's
we-
why I'm wondering
Yeah.
if this is updated. I pulled this one down this morning. I just want to make sure we're not, do you guys want some?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. I think I pulled that off the website this morning, because I wanted to make sure, I know that there's a committee working on it.
But it has been updated since then.
it has been updated since what you,
I don't have it with me.
but it allows for money to go into, right now, just the OPEB, it doesn't include covering the shortfall. One of the reasons, as we, were working with the select board and looking at how we were gonna fund the shortfall, we were trying to figure out what revenue could we use that would have the minimal effect in taking money out of stabilization. Because stabilization fund is for emergencies, but we don't want to deplete the amount that we have in there. Anything that we take out of stabilization, we want to replenish. We've met the guideline in terms of the percent that we need to have in that fund. So going into FY '27, we had enough money in stabilization. So, had this healthcare situation not come up, we would have been putting money into other funds such as, the debt capital debt stabilization. We have money in the middle school, according to the high school, we can add money to that fund. They have significant funds in, a couple of our stabilization funds. So those are, we talked about within the financial policies, putting money into a healthcare fund, just to put money aside for things that may come up, years from now, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and build those stabilization
I
funds.
think my issue with it is, we went to town meeting several years ago, I forget which year it was, but what we thought we had voted on wasn't what actually went into the warrant. So we thought that we had voted on pilots, new growth, revenue would come through, and we would take that money and put away 1/3 to a new high school, 1/3 to a capital fund, and then 1/3 to a different stabilization fund, which isn't the case. But now I'm wondering, what is in the financial policies? Are we breaking it by using it all to this
So the
health
new-
insurance?
Yes, we are. So the new financial policies state that pilot money, so right now we had an estimate of $1.6 million, should be going strictly into stabilization funds. So the only amount we were able to put was an OPEB of 150, and the rest of it, we had, were recommended to use those funds to cover the crisis that we're in right now. If we didn't use the pilot revenue to cover the shortfall, the money would have come from stabilization. And then the 1.6 would have we would have been putting money into stabilization and all other different funding sources.
So
All
we
of the
just
other
didn't want to
different
hit the stabilization
funds.
fund as heavy as.
But would it have hit the stabilization or the operating budget?
Stabilization, that would have come from stabilization because our revenue dictates. If the $4 million hit our, because this is an unforeseen event, this is not the norm, we would not be able to decrease our budgets by $4 million and nobody would be working. We wouldn't have a budget if we had to decrease our budget by $4 million because our revenue dictates how much we can spend. So we would have to fund this from another source of funding.
So you will have to get a waiver from the select board
Correct.
tomorrow night.
Correct.
You guys gonna do that?
We will have
And my
a
other
discussion.
thing is, I know we're saying we didn't know about health insurance, but I feel like the last few years, we have known it's coming. We just didn't know how much. Because
I
I
don't-
remember, maybe
Well-
you guys don't, I don't know, but to me, it doesn't feel like it's the first year we've heard about the Gateway Group and we might owe money to them.
So, I know that this was an executive session last week, but all I can say is that I looked at the financial statements of the Gateway Group from 2022, and within the financial statements, it did make note of, different shortfalls, and, and information regarding rate increases and some of the areas that Gateway had that came up in the audit. I mean, I would be more than happy to share that financial statement, but I just started looking at it because I was thinking, how did this come up all at once without any knowledge? And when I go back to 2022, I saw red flags within the financial statements as I'm reading it, looking at total liability, looking at, your assets.
That's back then, the Gateway
Yeah.
Board should have been
Yeah.
looking at, but they didn't. Right,
Yeah, all right.
okay. Everybody all set?
Yep.
We've got a motion, we've got a second, we've had discussion. We all done?
Well, we can have more discussion on Article 8, I can tell you right now, we can have plenty of discussion on Article 8.
No, I-
Okay,
Make a vote.
you ready? Okay, so we're gonna vote. It's the motion that was made. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna vote no.
Any, all those opposed?
One. Aye.
One. Okay, so it's abstention, no, so it's a 4-1.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, everybody, for getting us through that. Now, let's go to the rest of the articles. So, you want to lead that discussion?
Sure.
Glenn?
If we can skip over Article 1, just the annual report, right? Finance
We-
Committee, then,
The annual report is not part of ours. The
Correct.
Article 2, it shows
this is the use of free cash.
we already voted on that one the other night, so
Okay.
that one's done.
Article 3,
Article 3,
unpaid bills.
okay, now,
Yeah.
we have to have an explanation and then we'll vote.
Karen, you wanna tell me anything?
Where are we, Article?
Article 3. Redevelopment Authority, member stipend.
Oh, yeah, so this was a stipend that, I'm sorry, I'm just looking.
Page 4.
We owe Roger $150.
Oh, yeah, this was, so this was for a stipend for FY '26 that wasn't paid.
What-
Article 3.
Yeah, Article
Yeah.
3. So this is for $150 for FY '26 budget for unpaid bills or services, which is a stipend to Roger Noblet for the redevelopment authority.
So everyone in the redevelopment authority gets a stipend of $150,
Yeah.
and he just didn't get his stipend.
So, and that's from FY '25. So it's an unpaid bill. Correct?
The same, 26 right now this year.
Yeah, unpaid bills from previous years.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is
FY
from,
'25.
this
yeah.
is from,
So-
this is from FY
Yes.
'25.
So he
Yeah.
should have received a stipend in FY '25. He didn't get
Okay.
the stipend, so in order to pay the stipend, it would have to come out of the FY '26 budget. But
Okay.
you would have to have approval to have it come out of the budget.
So it's just, it's unpaid, go ahead.
Yeah, I just have a question. I want to pay him his stipend, but I just want to make sure that he was a member at that time and we should pay it, and not that we're asking to increase the stipend now.
Oh, we're not increasing any
Okay.
of the stipends for any of
No, he was there,
any of the
right, Jim?
departments. All
Okay.
the stipends
Roger was
stayed
there,
the
right?
same.
Yeah, he's been there. He's
Yeah.
been there as long as
I
I
mean,
have.
he was
Okay.
been there when I was on it, yeah.
Yeah,
I
he's
just
been
want to
there
make
for a while.
sure, previous town meetings, stipends have come up, and, it's always been that we don't put them in articles, we don't
That's
put it on the
right.
floor. So if it's an unpaid bill, I'm okay with that, but
Yep.
if it's that we're trying to increase the stipend, I don't think this is the
And
place.
that's
We're
the
not,
same number.
we're not looking at increasing, if you look in your budget binders, there's a section, the budget binder has a list of all of the boards and commissions and everybody that loses a stipend, and we didn't increase any of the stipends.
Okay. And we just missed his.
We missed his.
Okay, so we need a motion to,
Motion to pay Roger his $150
from FY '25.
for FY '25.
This says 26.
Yeah, because it's paid for out of the '26 budget.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a second? second by Walter. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? No, 5-0. Okay.
Article 4.
Article 4 this is part of the pilot money that we received that we put aside to transfer into stabilization funds, and so we're transferring 150 into the other post-employment benefits.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion.
To, well, we got to read, motion to
Approve Article 4.
put $150,000, and basically it's for OPEB, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
For OPEB. And so, okay, so Jack moved it. We have a second?
Second.
Second by Jim. Any further discussion?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure, is this from the new financial policies that we're moving this?
This is from the new financial policies, yes.
Okay, and they've been voted for and
Yes.
they're in place?
Yes.
Yeah. And I'll get you a copy of the new policies.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. No further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? No? Abstained? None. Okay, good, 5-0.
I have some more information for you going into the next article. North Carver Water District.
The article is Article 5. We've
Thank you.
we've already beaten to death. Okay.
Thanks.
Article 6, North Carver Water District.
Oh, boy. I got a great idea for that. There is still more water. More Carver water. I got a great idea for that. It got axed. There's no more. It's in the town now. The town takes care of
What
it.
hasn't changed?
There's no committee anyway. Now the town takes care of it, which is the better idea. You and him are going camping, aren't you?
What's that?
Aren't you going camping with, what's his name from the
I don't
North Carver Water
I
District?
wouldn't go anywhere with him.
So Pat, if you could, I am going to recommend that the North Carver Water District maintain their current budget of $650,000. And if you see, there is a column there, FY26 North Carver Water budget request, significantly higher than that, $1,330,152. Again, I am not recommending that. If I look quickly at this recommended budget here from the North Carver Water District, I see $450,000 worth of capital projects. Right off the bat, I think they should go to capital for those requests, right? They haven't been vetted. There's no engineering analysis that I know of to support these. You know, these are their ideas. Doesn't mean they don't need to be done, but before I sign off on them, I want to have a professional engineer who's qualified to make this kind of determination, tell me that this is what is needed. And then also in here, there's a significant amount of money, and the current chair, they're a separate district, separate from the town. He really wants to be a separate district. For years and years, they've been a quasi-town department. Town staff goes over there, does work. We do it at a much lower cost. I mean, if you look on here, he's looking, town secretarial services, $12,000. That's something that one of our staff members just does on their daily work basis. It's a lot of things like that.
Yeah.
O&M's up there constantly. Our treasurer does the billing for us. So those kinds of things, again, I think he should be working with us and try to reduce these costs. Again, I am recommending the $650,000. The only thing I do want to say on this budget, one thing that he did do, and I do kind of like it, almost down to the bottom there, he has the Middleborough water bill. So right now, we're not pumping any clean water from the North Carver Water District. We
Right.
get all our water from Middleborough. We have to
Yep.
pay them for it, right?
Yeah.
And it's more of a counting thing. We put that under, if you go up the top, there's North Carver Water District dash, other professional services, $300,000. So there's two components to that from the town side. One is to pay the Middleborough water bill, which, we agree with that figure, the $240,000. We also have to have a distribution system operator, but we believe we can get that done for about $20,000 by, again, we have a distribution system operator right here that works for the town, takes care of this building right here, the town hall, the middle high school and the elementary school. We'll add it to that contract.
Yep.
And again, we're not the ones supplying the water. We believe that workload is reduced, and we can do that for about $20,000. So again, I'm recommending this $650,000 and
Okay, that's good. And one of the things that I just want to add on this too is, and we've talked about this quite often and quite extensively, it took legislation to create this board, and now there's also legislation pending. It's at the State House right now. Unfortunately, it didn't get done in the last year, but it's pending right now. And just from an organizational point of view, I don't think it's a good idea for a current board that knows it has a short existence left, making any kind of major decisions for an incoming board, and they would just have to inherit those things. I think that's just a bad organizational approach. So, as the town administrator says, is going to recommend a budget of $650,000, so that would be, can we have a motion for that? Okay, Jack made a motion for $650,000. Is there a second?
Second.
And then we have a second. Any further discussion?
I just have one question, sorry. I'm just looking at what we received last week, and we have an amount that we've expensed as of February 25th. So, was that, how many months, 7 months in, 9 months in, something like that? I just want to make sure, are we in line? They had already spent 300.
No, so.
Okay.
So I can explain. For the FY '26 budget, we have, approximately $400,000 to $500,000 that we spend on water, and we have contractual obligations. We have an engineering company, Tata, so we met with Bob. I've been meeting with him pretty much all year, going through the budgets, monitoring what we spend on a monthly basis. There are 2 contracts that North Carver Water District signed. One was the distribution officer. It's around the contract, based on the contract, you're looking at approximately $124,000. They're not spending that entire amount. Plus, there's the Tata Engineering contract that's $109,700. So with those 2 contracts, plus the debt service, and when you look at a $650,000 budget, you have debt service at $230,000. You have water around $400,000 to $500,000. That only leaves you $148,000 to cover electric. So we had a conversation looking at non-discretionary expenses where you just have to pay it. It's like your mortgage, you have to pay it. And your discretionary, things that are kind of like a wish list. I really would like to have it, but it really comes down to how much revenue we have. And so for the FY '26 budget, because we already have signed contracts, if we were because they're contracts that are signed, I cannot pay a bill if we don't have any funding. So there's going to be a supplemental FY '26 request, which is under the special town meeting, requesting an additional $250,000.
So we would recommend that he cut back that money. This was one of the problems of being a district versus being the town.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's a limited oversight as to,
Yeah.
well,
I was just looking at purely,
Yeah.
what he's spending, just say
Yeah.
electric. It looks to me like he's spending about $8,000 a month, and we put 42. I'm just, is there enough to keep the lights going?
So we have enough to keep the lights going, but we still need additional money for FY '26. What I've done with the North Carver Water District budget, and I'll be more than happy to share that with the committee when I send out my reports through February, is it's detailed. So every year, we've had an other professional service line. That other professional service line, I have it detailed in terms of what we pay out to the person that takes the meeting minutes, what we pay out to the engineer. So moving forward in the FY27 budget, we're gonna itemize this based off what we spend the money on. So you can see water, you can see water services. So there's, we have the water, then we have the water services. And then we have, engineering, we have the distribution officer, and we have like a few other things that fall under other professional service, but I have a detail, and I have it set up where I'm looking at projections and actuals for the rest of the fiscal year. And that's where I felt like we were gonna have a little bit of a shortfall, and I didn't want us to run into a situation where we couldn't pay for water bills, and then we'd have to go to another special town meeting to request an additional appropriation.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we could pay the necessities with it.
Okay, so we've got,
Motion and a second.
we've got a
Proceed to vote.
motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Oh, I forgot.
Okay, we're going to take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? No, 5-0. Thank you. Okay, we've got Article 7.
Now, on Article 7, the capital committee has not voted their recommendations yet.
So we'll skip that one.
And the only other thing I could tell you is that, one thing with Article 7, which we haven't really done in the past here, because of the healthcare crisis and the funding going towards the healthcare crisis, particularly the free cash, really the free cash, right, for us, the recommendation is to borrow for capital. Now, we're thinking right now, borrowing of $1.5 million.
Okay.
Again, we don't have a full plan right now. The capital committee meets on Wednesday, but it will be borrowing. Now, again, I just want to tell the board that.
And at the
Sorry.
capital meeting, we're gonna provide, just a list. I've been meeting with Hilltop Bond Council, looking at how we can supplement some of these different things. So, some of the debt that dropped off with the fire engine was around $112,000 to $122,000. Bonding, $1,518,175. Our first interest payments would begin in November of 2027, so we're looking at FY28 budget, and our principal would be paid in May of 2028. So you're looking at your FY28 budget, but I also, at the capital meeting, would like to show the town our entire capital debt schedule with debt that has retired. We took on additional debt for the library and the town hall roof. The original authorization was around, $2.4 million, but we didn't need to bond that much. And one of our goals is that even though we have money that we're authorizing, which would allow us to bond if we needed it, if we have additional funds that come in and like we put money aside, just to give you an example, for the ladder truck, we put money for the fire. We authorize money for the ladder truck. It's not going to come in for another 3 to 4 or 5 years, but we have a plan of putting money away in our capital debt stabilization fund. So as of June, we had $600,000 in that, and then we transferred, a substantial amount in FY 26. That money's sitting there. We're not spending it because we have plans to use that to help offset what we're going to have to actually issue in debt
Okay.
3 years from now.
So does this mean that Article 7 is going to be removed from the warrant?
No, it is not going to be
They're just gonna
removed, no,
update
it'll be voted on Wednesday night, so
Yeah.
we'll have to ask the finance committee to
So-
get back together after Wednesday night.
Okay, so it's,
Tabled for now.
Yeah,
okay.
okay, and you want to, we'll get to Article 8 here, I don't know if you want to table Article 8 until the select board vote tomorrow night on Article 8? Like Beth has said, we are asking the select board to,
I would.
suspend their policies.
Yeah.
So,
See how their vote goes first.
again, you have you have to have another meeting anyways. Do you want to do 7 and 8 at your next meeting? And it's up to you.
Well, we can, I'm just concerned about the time frame that we have,
Okay.
and when,
Just won't be printed in the warrant article.
when is the warrant going to be printed?
7 days before, so I want to, March, geez, 29th, I want to say, is that the 3rd?
Oh, so we
No.
have till then? Okay,
Yes.
because we got a few other things to talk about too. Have meetings with, we gotta talk, well, I'm gonna bring those up later, but we got, so if we've got till then, we want to table Article 7
And Article 8.
and Article 8. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And Article 9 is, I don't believe is a FinCom vote. And then we've got Article 10, community preservation. There is a place for a FinCom vote, so
He usually meets with us too, Mr. Bentley.
he does. And
All I'm gonna say, you are coming back, if you're gonna vote on 7 and 8, you want to invite him
Table that one
to.
too.
Yeah.
Put 10 in there
okay, so we
too.
got table 10, okay.
Make sure we
I
invite.
did bump it up against last year's, and there's a few new things, the 250th, the anniversary for flags,
Yeah,
but also historic preservation reserve fund seem to have went up a bit.
Yeah, so what happens with the CPA funds is that we get an allocation, and the allocation is what the state is going to provide the town with a match. So we collect money through surcharges, through what people pay from their taxes, and the state matches it. From that, 10% has to be allocated into open space, historic preservation, and affordable housing. So when you look at the reserves, this article states that we're appropriating money to spend $30,000 for administrative fees, $328 towards debt service, $2,500 towards anniversary flags, and $50,000 for Lakeville. So when you look at the difference, so if Lakeville is, I believe, let me see what Lakeville is, part of open space, that automatically satisfies a portion of the 10%. That's why you don't see as much going into the reserves, because once you satisfy that 10%, then
So it actually
it goes into unrestricted.
actually goes the other way. So last year, we only had a reserve fund of 3,000, historic preservation reserve fund.
Yes, so what happens is that, as I mentioned, so you have the 10% that has to be allocated. If you have a project that makes up 10%, so if we had a project for 93,000, then you wouldn't see anything going into reserves. You would see it going into your unrestricted, because we only have to allocate 10%. The state law is a minimum of 10% into each category. Anything above that goes into your undesignated reserve fund. So if you have projects that are open space, maybe it's 90,000 or 50,000, you've already satisfied a portion of the 10%, and the balance would go into reserve, and anything over goes into your undesignated fund balance.
Okay. Thank you.
okay. So we're tabling 7, 8, and 10. 11 and 12 do not require a FinCom vote.
Correct.
Okay, now, going forward from here, we've got to vote on those 7, 8, and 10s at another meeting before March 29th, okay?
It would be good if you could do it, I would say even on the 16th, is that possible? A week from today?
No, I'm not here the 16th. I'm in Dallas.
Okay,
Or you can do it, I'm just not here.
16th is what, next Tuesday?
Monday.
no, next
next
Monday?
Monday.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Walter?
Should be fine.
Okay, Beth?
I'm okay that day.
Okay, and I can make it, I know Tony can't make Monday nights anymore during tax season.
Okay.
Okay, so we can do that. I'll get that set up, okay? But couple of other things that we've got to do, Karen, we've got, and I don't want to get into discussion about it right now. I just know when when we need to meet for reserve fund requests.
Yes, so as we move into as we finalize the third quarter, usually the first week in April, have a conversation with the department heads, again, looking at areas where they feel like they may have any shortfalls. We try to cover any shortfall that may come up through surpluses within the budget before
Yeah.
we come to the finance committee, but
Right.
I'll be sitting down and planning a meeting with the finance committee to give you an update of where we are going into the third quarter, what we've spent, the amount of revenue that we've brought in. If I see anything that might be of concern, then I will bring it up. And I've just been in conversation with Patrick on little things that have come up, but I'm still waiting because it's still early
Okay.
in the year.
So, and then we don't have to have those done before town meeting?
No.
Okay, that's fine. The other couple of things is we want to have the capital outlay has to meet with
Yes.
us.
the
Can that
finance
be on
committee.
the 16th?
Yes, if we vote on this Wednesday, we could, I'll put it out to the group, but we should be able to come out.
Because if we meet on the 16th just with these three things, that's going,
Yeah.
we can do more than that. And the other thing is, we also want to have the school department in to do a budget presentation to us. So I'm thinking if we're going to do that, these other things on the 16th, we ought to have them in on the 16th too.
Okay.
And that's a Monday night. Okay, everybody okay with that?
I'm not available Monday. I'm at a conference. Come back Tuesday for the select board meeting. I'm gonna be in Amherst. Would you want me to join through Zoom on Monday, or do you need me to be at the meeting?
I think if Glenn will be there, I think that would be fine.
We'll have you Zoom in and call in, one or the other.
Okay.
Yeah,
We'll send a helicopter to get you.
yeah,
Oh, that'd be great.
okay.
teaching a
so-
class
So that
Tuesday.
takes care of that. So then, we're gonna have a meeting on the 16th. And I'll get that agenda done, and we'll get everything out to everybody. We talked about these other things. The only thing we got left to do is to approve some minutes, so, did everybody get a chance to take a look at the minutes? I sent them out. There's 1, 2, 3, group of 4, December 12th, December 15th, December 17th, and January 22nd.
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't read them.
Those can all be taken as a group. Do we have a motion to accept them? Motion to accept, second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain because I didn't read them. I'm
Okay.
gonna be honest, I'm sorry.
Okay, so it's a 401. And we've got the minutes from the March 3rd executive session to be voted on, but also not for release. So, you have a motion for that? Jack, second. Walter, any further discussion?
Oh, no.
You're going to abstain?
I'm gonna
again?
abstain, 'cause I
Okay,
didn't
all
read
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Beth abstains, and that's also a 401. And that is the end of our meeting. Are there any other committee member comments, questions?
Actually,
Whatever.
I had one comment, just so, because you guys are new this year. The way the capital outlay committee works is we actually roll up to the finance committee. So that's why we would make our recommendations and then they come to the finance committee. Just so you guys understand how that works.
Okay, so
That's how the bylaw
we'll
is
plan on meeting on the 16th, and I'll get an agenda out. We'll do that by Thursday.
Thursday, yeah.
Okay, and I'll work on that, we'll get that done, and we'll meet again on the 16th. So, if there's nothing else, I have a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn, second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, no, very good, we're done, Will.
Let's do it.